Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to start my December dailies. I'm going to make two and I have started one and got it up to the stage that I'm going to share with you today how to do this one. So I bought some thermals from Aldi and they came in these boxes and I thought, well, they'd make a nice journal cover. So I did cut it all up and prepare it, and I've made this little journal out of it. So that's it as far as I've got now, and I've got two signatures to put in it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get to this stage. Now to do that we need whatever you're going to use for your cover, two envelopes, because in the centres of my signatures I've got this, and in the centre of this signature I have got this. So we're going to use two envelopes. I've got 4 sheets of paper. You can use whatever paper goes with the paper range that you're using. I'm using white. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets of 12 by 12 paper. Now 4 of those sheets will make my signature along with these 4, and this one will cover my cover, which has got that on the back or the front, and this will make my envelopes. So that's what you need to make this December daily. Now each has got 2 signatures, and each signature has got 4 pages, which will give us 32 pages altogether when it's assembled. Okay, so let's put this aside and start work on this. So first of all we have to cut it down a bit. So we have to open it up. We want to open this side where it's sealed up. So we've got that. Now I'm going to cut this off, this off, this off and this off. I'm going to take that over to my large trimmer to do that, which is over on another table and the camera won't be over there. So we'll just go and cut these flippy bits off and I'll be back. I've trimmed that up and I cut this much off the top because I wanted to make it 7.5 inches tall. So I've got 7.5 inches high by 5.25 inches wide. So now I need to cut my pages to go in there. So let's have a look what we've got here. Bring the trimmer in. So I cut that 7.5 inches, so I'm going to make my pages 7.25 inches, just so that there's a bit of cover above and below. So let's cut that at 7.25. And I'm going to make them, that cover was 5.25, so I'm going to make them 5 1/8. So I'll cut these off at 10.25. That way when I fold them in half I'll have 5 1/8. So I'm going to cut the 4 pattern papers to that. So this one's got Christmas words on it and a florally sort of pattern on the back that's got holly in it. This one is spotty and floral on the back. So these are from, I should show you where they're from. Okay, this one, Paper Rose, Pretty in Pink Christmas. That's one of them that I'm using. That's the one that's got this pattern in it. Now I've also used this pattern which has got the cars on it. And this one, Uniquely Creative Days of Christmas, is the one that's got the Christmas words on it. And what else have I got there? Might be this spotty one, I think, with the floral on the back. So they're two Christmas collections that are not really, you know, dead on Christmas, you know what I mean. You could use them for other things, like this page, for example. It's lovely food, little bird and a parcel. Or you could use that for birthday if you wanted to. Wouldn't be much different. So that's got hot chocolate and cookies on the back. And this one is the one with the car with the parcels, and on the back is small ones of those. Right, now we're going to fold these. Oh, I haven't finished cutting, have I? I have to do the pages that go in between, which I'm using these plain, well, they're supposed to be white, but they're a little bit creamish, aren't they? So I'm cutting these down. Should I do them all at once? Cut them down at 7 1/4. By 10 1/4. Okay. Right. Now we're going to score them all. We'll get our scoreboard out and score them all at 5 1/4. Now, you probably don't need to watch me do that, so I will come back when I've got them all scored. Okay, so I've scored and folded all of those, and I've put them into 2 signatures. And as I said, I'm having 4 pages in each signature, and I have got 2 patterns and 2 plains in each one. So that will give me 32 pages in all. Now, as a little bit extra, something to just put bits and pieces in your December daily, I have got these 2 envelopes. Now, I'm going to join these together, and to do that I'm going to use just a piece of a scrap that's left over from the pattern papers that I've just cut. And I'm just going to score that down the middle. This one is what? About 1 1/8 wide, so I'm just going to position that on there and score it. Doesn't look like I've got it on there that straight, but that won't matter. Now let's fold that over. Score that down. And we're going to join our 2 envelopes together. I think I'm going to have the flaps out, so I'm going to join it that way. I think on the other one I actually put the flaps to the inside, which might not have been such a great idea. I have to check that out. So I'm just adding glue to my hinge. And pop that on there like so. It happens to be the right height, but you might need to trim it depending on what sort of paper you're using. Now I'm just leaving a bit of a gap. I guess you can see that gap there. It will stand out even more once I add the other envelope. Okay, and now we're going to add the next envelope, the second envelope. And pop our envelope on that, as I said, leaving a gap so that when we close our folder it could come away a little bit more. And this will be stitched into the signature, so you really won't see that much, although it will be the centre of the signature, so you may see it a bit. We can always run some washi tape or something down the middle there if we wanted to, or we could turn it that way. No, doesn't really matter. Okay, so that is our envelopes to go in the centre of this one. Now our next job is to make the, and in case you're wondering why I decided on this size for my journal, is because that was the size that my envelopes would have suited. So if you would rather use a different sized envelope, you can adjust the size of your journal as well to go with it. Now we're going to make our bags to go in the centre of the other signature. Let me just move that out the way, get my trimmer, and I'm going to trim this at 6 inches lengthways, so across the middle of the vertical edge. So, cutting this, so I've got 2 pieces 6 inches by 12 inches. Now, how wide do I want those? I made my bags, I think it was 4 3/4 inches wide. Yes, it was. So let's get our score. Oh, I need the trimmer. 4 3/4, and 4 3/4 is 9.5, and then 1/2 inch for overlap, 10 inches. So let's cut this down to 10 inches. And here. Right, now we want our scoreboard. So we're going to what am I making it? 4 3/4, so I need to do it 2 3/8, 1 2 3/8, and then 1/2 inch, 1 2 3 4. So we're scoring at 2 7/8. Flip it around and score at 2 3/8. Then on the long edges, score at 3/8. 1 2 3. And 3/8 on both, so 1 2 3. Right, and we'll do the same for this one. So 2 7/8, wasn't it? 2 3/8. 3/8. You can make your bags as big as you like, so up to you. And you can have your top and bottom as deep as you like too, so just depending on what you're looking for, how much you score yours down. Now I'm going to fold these, sorry, going to fold like that. You can see that by doing that we've got an overlap here, which is going to be the back of our envelope, and then we're going to fold down our top. And our bottom. We'll fold up the bottom, not down, like so. Right, now in the other one I made a boo-boo and I put the picketed edge, the tall picket edge, on the opposite side to the seam, right? So this is the back of the bag and this should be taller. So I've cut the wrong pieces, so I just flipped it over, so I've got this there. It's fine, it's not going to make any difference, but this time I'm going to do it the right way round so that if you want to follow along, you'll know the right way to do it. So let's fold that back out. Now this is the top. Yes, this is the top of our bag. So we have to cut these two side corners off. Is that right? No, it's not, is it? They have to stay. So we have to cut this centre section off at the top. And then slope that corner out a little bit. And we can slope that in a little bit. And this one. So that's the top of our bag. This is the bottom, and the bottom we want to cut the sides off. So there, little angle, and cut at the top of the fold, top of the score line, so that it doesn't bind when we fold it under. Because that centre piece is going to come over these, and we don't want them to get stuck. Okay, now we take our pinking shears, if we've got them, and we cut along here. Along here. Now if you're doing like vintage, which I'm not this time, you would want to ink here and here. And we're also going to cut along the bottom of our bag. Because I was looking for the maximum height on my bag and I wanted to use one sheet, so get the two bags out of one sheet, I'm pinking fairly close to the edge here. So you might want to allow yourself a bit more space for that. Right, now we're going to fold that over there and that over there and that up there. And I can see that I really need to cut a little bit more off of here. You have to be careful that you don't cut so much off that you will see, you know, that bottom piece doesn't cover it over. Because I'm being a bit skimpy with my paper. I mean, not that I should be, because I've got about a million pieces of it. So we'll just trim that off a little bit more there. That's better. Okay, so there we have our bag. Now I'm going to glue that up. So to do that, quite easy, I run a bead of glue along this edge on the underside and a bead of glue along this edge on the upside, on the top side. And then lay that one down, that one on top of it, and there we go. Up to you, you can put whichever side you like on top, they both work fine. Both work fine. Now I'm going to do the bottom, so we're just a single bead of glue across the bottom here. If you're doing a vintage style one, you would probably be inking before you do all of this gluing. Okay, so there's our first bag. See what I mean about if you're doing vintage, you'd want to ink that because, you know, you can see that top edge. Okay, now I'm going to do exactly the same for this one. So I'm going to cut my pieces out. I don't know whether you want to see this twice, just to reinforce what you're doing. If not, just please fast forward over this section. Alright, so there's our second bag. Now we have to join these two together, and I'm just going to use a piece of this to do that. So I'm going to cut this down so that it's only as high as that bag there, not right up to the high back level. So let's trim that down. I will also trim it down to about 1 inch. And I will score that because it makes it easier. I'm using quite heavy card. This is a Papercraft card too, I think. And they do tend to be nice and sturdy. Oh no, it's a Prima paper. It came from this pad, Ledger pad, and it's a Prima, so it's pretty old. I don't know if it's got a year on it, no, but yeah, Prima have been out of business, I think, for some time. Okay, so let's fold that over and score it down. And once again, ink now if you're going to ink. And we will, oh, yes, okay, so glue. So it's exactly the same procedure as joining our envelopes together. We're just using a hinge to do that with our bag as well. is stick that down there and stick that on top and leave that little bit of a gap. Once again, we can cover that with a washi or something if we feel we need to. We can either put these in the centre of our signatures or we can put them further back. If we put them in amongst all the others, well then you won't see this because it will be down in amongst the binding. But if you put it in the centre, we probably will see it. And I was thinking of putting it in the centre because I didn't want just a plain page in the centre, you know, just a plain writing page. And I didn't want a plain writing page as the first page, but you know, that might change. Nothing's set in stone until you actually stitch your signatures in, is it? So there we go, we'll stick that down there and that down there. Make sure we've got a bit of clearance there and we can close that over nicely. Make sure it's lined up and burnish it down. So there we go. So we've got our envelopes in that one, a bag I mean, and we've got our envelopes in that one. Right, so that's basically our two signatures put together. So we've got a pattern page, a plain page, a pattern page, a plain page, and then our envelope or bag. Same for this one, pattern page, plain page, pattern page, plain page, and bags. Right. Next I need to think about covering the cover. So that's our next stage. Let me just tidy up here a bit, get some of this stuff out of the way. Trouble with working on journals like this is that as you go you tend to make mess and reduce your workspace. So that's that. Now for our cover, I use this paper for the cover. It's got that on the back and this on the front. What is this? This is a Papercraft paper called First Noel Collection. So that's a old paper as well. Now I'm going to cut this at 6 inches down that way. It's not big enough to go all the way around the cover, so I have to cut it down into two pieces. So let's do that first. You can see on this cover that I've got that gap on the spine, which is not a problem. Okay. So 6 inches. Like that. I can leave that on there. This one, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how tall I want it. So what did I say? I did cut this at 7.5, so I should cut this at about 8.5. So I've got a ½ an inch at the top and ½ an inch at the bottom. So I'll do that, 8.5. And the same for this one. Eight and a half. got this window here, I do not want to have that on there because when I cut my window out, I'll cut all my pattern off. So that's why I chose this one to go on the front. Well, that's why I chose this paper actually, because it gives me the opportunity to put something here and still have my window. Right, so we need to attach this now. So I'm going to use some glue stick. I'll use glue stick and I will also use liquid glue. Oh, I don't know. I have a lot of trouble getting the glue stick off, or the cap off the glue stick. Not because it's really tight, but because of my arthritis. So, needless to say, I don't use a glue stick all that often. But I'm going to use it here because I just want to have glue all over this. And I'm going to use my liquid glue around the edges just to make sure that all is stuck well. And especially around that fold area. Right, so let's get the glue and run it around. So I'm going to go around the edge of the opening. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with this opening yet, but I thought it would be nice on a journal. So I'm going to put plenty of glue on that folding edge and take the glue right out to the edge here. And then I'm going to put this face down on top of it. So I'm going to try and give myself 1/2 inch top and bottom, and as much as I can on this edge here, because this edge is going to be covered up anyway, so something like that, and I'm going to burnish that down. Okay, now we'll do the same for the back. The glue stick. Yeah. Okay. Now around the edges, particularly in that groove. Now you could also sew around this edge if you wish. I don't know, I haven't really decided whether to do that or not yet. Now we're going to add our, go like that. So let's add this in about the same. Like so. Try and get it straight. No guarantees though. We're just making sure that we've got that nice and flat, no air bubbles or anything like that under there. Okay. I am very, very sorry. My camera cut out again. I forget to put my timer on and get carried away. Okay, so I'll explain what I did. It's pretty straightforward. I took my blade, my knife, and my ruler, and I put it across here like this and cut through there. Then I did the same thing this way, cut through there. Then I just folded those pieces back and stuck them down. These pieces here were a lot longer, like they poked up over there. You can see that piece there probably comes off of there. So I just trimmed them back so that they didn't overlap this edge here, because that would make an extra bump in the paper that we're going to put over here. I did the same here. So then they're all stuck down. Then I took my ruler and I placed it on the curve, on the fold, and folded that up like so, making sure that I got a nice clean fold. And then I did the same for the back cover. Folded that up like so. Now in doing that, it did lift the edge of the paper on the front, actually, the front. So I did add a little bit more glue under there, just to make sure that it's stuck down nicely. And there we have our cover and our two signatures with our centre features, our bags and our envelopes, all ready to go. But that's as far as I'm going today. So next video I'll come back and we'll stitch in our signatures and we'll finish our covers, and we may well start embellishing the inside of our journal as well. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry about the end. I think I'm going to have to buy a new recording device. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I hope you can join me when I post my next video. Okay, bye.